Paris had always been a city that promised enchantment, yet as I stood on the cobblestone streets, it felt more like a cruel joke. The vibrant colors of the flowers in bloom contrasted sharply with the monotony of my life back home in Portland. I was here with my husband and stepson, but the excitement of Paris seemed to mock my reality. My marriage had settled into a predictable routine, one that left me yearning for something deeper, something alive. As we strolled along the Seine, I caught sight of couples laughing and sharing intimate moments. Their joy reminded me of what I once felt, but now it was just a distant echo. My husband, Mark, walked ahead, absorbed in taking pictures of the landmarks. I lagged behind, feeling out of place amidst the city's romance. The air buzzed with energy while I felt increasingly invisible. "Are you coming?" Mark called back to me, his voice cutting through my reverie. "Yeah, just admiring the view," I replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. We approached the Pont Alexandre III bridge, adorned with golden statues glinting in the sunlight. It was breathtaking, a perfect backdrop for love stories. As we leaned against the railing, I noticed my stepson, Jake, wandering off to take photos. He was 23 and had grown into an attractive young man over the years. A pang of something stirred within me as I watched him interact with his surroundings. It was an emotion I couldn't quite name. Suddenly, an old friend from college appeared out of nowhere, Sophie. We hadn't spoken in years. She had moved to Paris after graduation and never looked back. "Megan. Is that you?" she exclaimed, her face lighting up as she approached. "Sophie. What a surprise." My heart raced as we embraced. Her warmth reminded me of better times. As we exchanged pleasantries about our lives, her thriving art career and my mundane existence, I could sense her keen observation. She noticed my lackluster enthusiasm despite being in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. "You don't seem happy," she said gently. I brushed off her concern with a laugh that felt hollow. "Oh please. Who wouldn't be thrilled in Paris?" But Sophie wasn't convinced. Her gaze lingered on me for just a moment too long before she changed the subject to art galleries and hidden gems around the city. We made plans to meet later that evening at a local wine bar, a cozy little place known for its intimate atmosphere and rich selection. As Sophie walked away, I felt unsettled by her insight into my discontentment. The joyous atmosphere around me began to feel oppressive, laughter echoed like taunts against my emotional void. After our brief reunion faded from memory, Jake returned from his photo expedition with an excited grin plastered across his face. "You have to see this shot," he said breathlessly as he showed us his camera display filled with snapshots of Parisian life. I feigned interest while internally grappling with thoughts ignited by Sophie's words. Why did Jake's enthusiasm stir something within me? Was it simply admiration for his talent or something more? "Let's grab lunch," Mark suggested abruptly as he checked his watch. We found ourselves at a cafe near our hotel where tourists flocked for their Instagram-perfect meals, croissants flaked onto plates and coffee served in delicate porcelain cups. As Mark chatted about plans for tomorrow's museum visit, I found myself stealing glances at Jake across the table. He was animatedly discussing photography techniques with Mark while gesturing wildly with his hands. The way he spoke captivated me. There was an earnestness about him that drew me closer despite knowing our familial boundaries were meant to be respected, never crossed. After lunch ended and we wandered through narrow streets filled with boutique shops and artists showcasing their work on every corner, I felt increasingly aware of how disconnected I had become from everything that once brought me joy, including my marriage. Later that evening at the wine bar with Sophie proved to be both illuminating and unsettling. The dim lighting created an atmosphere ripe for candid conversations about life choices and dreams deferred. Over glasses of rich red wine, my favorite, I began to open up about feeling trapped in my marriage. "You deserve more than this," Sophie urged gently as she leaned closer across the table. You've spent so long caring for others, it's time you focus on yourself. Her words struck a chord deep within me, a reminder of desires long buried beneath layers of duty and complacency. As we finished our second round of wine and laughter flowed freely between us again, I suddenly felt lightheaded, not just from alcohol but from realization. There was still life left within me waiting to be embraced. That night marked a turning point. It awakened feelings I'd thought buried under years of routine existence, a longing for connection beyond what family ties dictated or societal norms expected from women like me at my age. When Jake texted asking if I wanted company on his evening stroll through Montmartre, part of me hesitated, the motherly instincts warning against crossing boundaries, but curiosity won out over caution as I agreed without thinking twice. Walking side by side under twinkling streetlights illuminated by soft lamplight brought forth emotions bubbling beneath the surface like champagne waiting to be uncorked after too long sealed away. "Isn't this place magical?" Jake asked softly as we paused beneath an archway lined with vines blooming under night skies painted indigo blue. A stark contrast against our earlier mundane reality back home in Portland, where summer festivals filled parks yet never sparked such intimacy between us before tonight. "I remember coming here years ago," I replied, absently lost in memories tinged both sweetly nostalgic yet painfully aware they belonged solely within another lifetime, entirely disconnected from who I am now, standing beside him under these stars shimmering above us like promises waiting just out of reach. The thrill mixed with trepidation coursing through every fiber inside me, threatening to unravel all logic governing familial bonds established over years spent together navigating life's complexities together, thus far unchallenged until now. And then came that unexpected moment when our eyes locked, a spark igniting something unspoken yet profoundly understood hanging heavy between us like ripe fruit begging to be plucked free from its branches. But before anything could unfold further or clarity could settle upon what exactly transpired next, Mark's voice rang out calling after us amidst laughter echoing down cobblestones leading away toward shadows lurking nearby, casting doubt upon what lay ahead. The air was thick with anticipation as I stood there, caught between the laughter of the bustling streets and the weight of my own thoughts. Mark's voice faded into the background, a distant echo against the vibrant Parisian scene. I glanced at my stepson, whose expression mirrored my own turmoil. The city felt alive around us, each corner whispering secrets of love and longing that seemed to mock my stagnant marriage. We wandered through narrow alleys adorned with art galleries and cafes, each step pulling me deeper into a world where emotions ran wild. The scent of fresh pastries wafted through the air, mingling with the sound of street musicians playing soulful melodies. It was a stark contrast to my life back home, a life filled with routines and unspoken frustrations. "Do you want to check out that gallery?" he asked, nodding toward a small space tucked between two larger buildings. His voice was tentative yet hopeful, igniting a flicker of excitement within me. "Sure," I replied, trying to keep my tone light despite the chaos swirling inside. As we entered the gallery, I felt an undeniable connection forming between us, a bond that transcended our roles as family. The walls were adorned with vibrant paintings that seemed to breathe life into our surroundings. We moved from piece to piece, sharing thoughts on color and form, our conversations flowing effortlessly like the Seine River outside. I had forgotten how invigorating it felt to discuss art with someone who shared my passion. "This one reminds me of those summer nights we used to have," he said, gesturing toward a painting that captured a sunset over water. "You know, when we'd sit on the porch talking about everything and nothing." I nodded, memories flooding back, those moments when life felt simpler. But now those memories were tainted by an unsettling realization: our connection had shifted beyond mere family ties. As we stood close together in front of another piece, an abstract work splashed with bold colors, I could feel his warmth radiating toward me. The air crackled with tension, it was electric and terrifying all at once. I fought against it, but something deep within me yearned for more. And then it happened, we kissed. A brief moment where time stood still amidst the chaos surrounding us. It was not just an impulsive act, it was laden with unspoken feelings and desires that had been simmering beneath the surface for too long. Reality crashed back in as we pulled away from each other, breathless and wide-eyed. The weight of what we had just done sank in like a stone thrown into still water, rippling outward until it engulfed everything in its path. "What have we done?" I whispered, panic creeping into my voice. "I don't know," he replied softly, his gaze searching mine for answers that neither of us possessed. We stepped outside into the cool evening air, trying to regain our composure as laughter echoed from nearby cafes filled with couples enjoying their night out. My heart raced, not just from what had transpired but from what lay ahead. Would this be a fleeting moment or something more? As we walked along Rue de Rivoli, lost in our thoughts, fate intervened once again in the form of an unexpected encounter. A couple strolled past us, familiar faces from Portland, a reminder of my old life intruding upon this new reality I had begun to explore. "Megan? Is that you?" one of them called out, their voices cutting through the haze surrounding us. I froze in place while Mark instinctively stepped back as if trying to hide behind a pillar nearby. My heart pounded louder than ever before. They couldn't see him, not now when everything felt so fragile. "Hey! What are you doing here?" I managed to reply while forcing a smile onto my face that didn't quite reach my eyes. "We're on vacation," they exclaimed enthusiastically as they approached me closer, their eyes scanning for signs of familiarity amid this foreign backdrop. "Oh wow! Paris is beautiful," I said too quickly, every word tasted bitter on my tongue as if betraying everything brewing beneath the surface between Mark and me. "Are you here alone?" they asked innocently enough, but their curiosity pierced through me like an arrow aimed straight at my heart, the guilt gnawing away at any joy this trip should have brought forth. "No, my husband is around somewhere," I lied smoothly while glancing nervously toward Mark, who remained hidden away behind shadows cast against cobblestones reflecting streetlights above us. "Well, enjoy your trip. We'll catch up later." They waved goodbye cheerfully before continuing down the street without another glance back at me or noticing anything amiss about our peculiar dynamic unfolding before them. Once they disappeared from view completely, leaving behind only echoes of laughter, I turned sharply toward Mark, who stepped out from his hiding spot looking equally shaken by what had just transpired between us moments ago. And now this new layer added onto it all, the fear looming larger than before like dark clouds gathering overhead threatening rain at any moment now. "What do we do now?" he asked quietly. Vulnerability etched across his features, revealing cracks starting to form beneath all bravado displayed earlier during our shared moment together inside that gallery filled with art reflecting beauty yet also chaos lurking within its depths. "I don't know," I replied honestly, feeling lost amidst swirling emotions battling for dominance over reason, wondering how far down this rabbit hole would lead us while grappling desperately against consequences inevitable lurking around every corner waiting patiently. And so we walked on through Paris, the city alive around us yet feeling increasingly isolating, as if it conspired against our fleeting happiness constructed upon secrets hidden beneath layers built up over years spent navigating familial ties strained under pressure built by unmet expectations. The rain began to fall suddenly, a torrential downpour that enveloped the streets of Paris in a silvery haze. We darted under the nearest awning, breathless and laughing, our hearts racing more from the thrill than the weather. The world around us blurred into a watercolor painting, colors running together as raindrops danced on cobblestones. "Is this how Paris always is?" he asked, shaking droplets from his hair like a wet dog. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and I couldn't help but smile back. "Only when you're here," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. The intimacy of the moment felt electric, charged with an unspoken understanding of what we had begun to explore together. The thunder rumbled overhead, a low growl that echoed my inner turmoil. I glanced around nervously. The streets were deserted, but paranoia was creeping in. What if someone saw us? What if someone recognized us? My heart raced not just from excitement but fear too. As we stood there under the awning, I could feel the tension between us thickening like fog over the Seine. Our shoulders brushed against each other as we sought refuge from the storm, and I felt an undeniable pull toward him, an attraction that had grown beyond mere curiosity during our time together in this city. I shouldn't be here, I murmured, half to myself. Why not? He challenged gently. We're just enjoying Paris. But it wasn't just Paris, it was everything else too, the thrill of doing something forbidden, of stepping outside my mundane life and into something that felt alive and vibrant. The rain intensified as if echoing my internal struggle. I'm married, I said quietly, feeling the weight of those words settle heavily between us. And does that make you happy? He pressed softly. I hesitated, conflicted thoughts swirling in my mind like leaves caught in an autumn windstorm. My marriage felt more like a series of obligations than a partnership filled with passion or joy. But was this fleeting connection worth risking everything? The questions hung there unanswerable as he stepped closer. Before I could process what was happening, our lips met, a soft collision that sent shivers down my spine amidst the chaos around us. It was brief yet profound, an acknowledgement of all we had been tiptoeing around since our arrival in this romantic city. The kiss ignited something within me, a flame that flickered dangerously close to consuming everything I thought I knew about love and loyalty. As we pulled away breathlessly, reality crashed back in like the rain pouring down upon us. We should go, I said abruptly, glancing at the streets now slick with water reflecting dim streetlights like stars fallen to earth. Just a moment longer, he urged softly. Let's not think about anything else. I wanted to argue but found myself nodding instead as we stood there beneath the awning watching raindrops race each other down its edge. The world outside felt distant and surreal, it was just him and me for those few moments suspended in time. But then laughter broke through my reverie, a couple emerged from around the corner laughing loudly as they splashed through puddles hand in hand. Their carefree joy struck me hard. They were living life fully while I stood frozen at a crossroads filled with uncertainty. Do you ever wonder what people see when they look at us? I asked suddenly, trying to shake off my unease. He shrugged lightly but met my gaze earnestly. Maybe they see two people enjoying Paris. I wanted to believe him but couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling gnawing at me from within, a voice whispering doubts about everything unfolding between us. As if sensing my turmoil, he reached for my hand again, his touch grounding yet electrifying all at once, and pulled me closer beneath our makeshift shelter from nature's fury. Just then, through the sound of rain pounding against pavement came another voice, familiar yet jarring enough to send chills racing down my spine, Megan? My heart dropped as I turned slowly towards the source of that voice. My husband stood there across the street staring right at us with disbelief etched across his face. The world seemed to spin on its axis, time slowed as realization washed over me like ice water thrown on flames igniting chaos inside me. What are you doing here? My voice trembled despite my efforts to keep composure intact while panic surged through every vein coursing within me. He took a step forward but paused uncertainly. The distance between us felt like an ocean separating two ships lost at sea. I came looking for you. We need to talk. The air thickened with tension as his eyes darted between us, between his wife caught up in something she never intended and his stepson who stood beside her looking equally stunned by this unexpected turn of events. I glanced back at him, my heart racing wildly now, not knowing how things would unravel next or what consequences awaited our secret rendezvous now laid bare before prying eyes that threatened everything we'd built during those stolen moments together amidst Parisian streets filled with romance long forgotten. In that instant suspended between choices made and paths diverging ahead lay uncertainty heavy enough to drown even hope itself. What lay ahead loomed larger than either of us could fathom now facing truths long buried beneath layers built up over years spent navigating familial ties strained under pressure built by unmet expectations. I turned to look at him, my heart pounding as the reality of our situation settled in. The bridge loomed above us, its arches casting shadows that felt ominous. I could see the Seine flowing beneath, a reminder of how quickly things could change. The thrill of our connection had been intoxicating, but now, under the scrutiny of the world around us, I felt exposed and vulnerable. "What do we do now?" he asked quietly, his voice barely rising above the sounds of the city. His eyes searched mine for answers I didn't have. "I don't know," I replied, my voice trembling slightly. The weight of guilt began to settle heavily on my chest, threatening to crush me under its pressure. The thrill we had found in each other now felt like a reckless gamble with no safety net. As we stood there in silence, I recalled our earlier adventures through Paris, the art galleries we explored and the late-night conversations that seemed to stretch into eternity. Those moments had been filled with laughter and discovery, but they had also masked a growing sense of dread. I was trapped in a web of conflicting emotions. The evening air was thick with tension as we made our way back toward the hotel. Each step felt like a march toward an inevitable confrontation with my husband. How could I explain this? My heart sank at the thought of his disappointment and betrayal. Once inside our room, I found myself pacing back and forth like a caged animal. My mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. My phone buzzed on the table, an incoming text from my husband that sent chills down my spine. "Can we talk?" it read simply. I stared at it for what felt like an eternity, grappling with the implications behind those words. He must have sensed something was off. Perhaps he had noticed my distracted demeanor or picked up on an unspoken tension between us during this trip. "Are you okay?" he asked when I finally picked up the phone to call him back. His voice was laced with concern. "I'm fine," I lied, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "We should meet for dinner," he suggested lightly, unaware of the storm brewing within me. "I'll make reservations at that little bistro near the Eiffel Tower." "Sure," I replied absent-mindedly, glancing out at the city lights twinkling in the distance, a stark contrast to my internal chaos. The night dragged on as I tried to prepare myself for what was coming. A part of me wanted to confess everything, my feelings for my stepson and how they had blossomed amidst Paris's romantic backdrop, but another part clung desperately to denial, hoping against hope that things would return to normal if I just avoided confronting reality. As we sat across from each other at dinner, his jovial chatter about work and upcoming plans felt like an echo from another life, one where happiness didn't feel so elusive or fragile. My mind wandered back to that night spent together under starlit skies filled with dreams and desires unfulfilled. "Are you sure you're all right?" he asked again after catching me lost in thought for what seemed like an eternity. "Yes," I said firmly this time, forcing myself to meet his gaze while suppressing memories of another pair of eyes, the ones that ignited something deep within me during our time together in Paris. He nodded but looked unconvinced as he continued eating his meal while stealing glances at me occasionally as if trying to gauge what lay beneath my calm facade. After dinner, we strolled along the Seine hand in hand, an innocent gesture masking a heart filled with turmoil and secrets waiting to be unveiled. The moonlight danced on water's surface mirroring my own conflicted emotions, a beautiful illusion hiding dark truths lurking just beneath. "Let's take a walk down by Notre Dame," he suggested suddenly, breaking through my reverie as if sensing my need for distraction from everything weighing heavily on me right now. I nodded silently. Perhaps immersing ourselves in Paris's beauty could help clear away some confusion clouding my mind, if only temporarily before facing inevitable consequences lurking just around every corner waiting patiently like shadows cast by flickering streetlights above us. As we reached Notre Dame's grand facade illuminated against night sky filled with stars twinkling overhead, a sight so breathtaking it made everything else fade away momentarily, I couldn't help but feel drawn into its majesty as if seeking refuge from all storms raging within myself lately. "Isn't it stunning?" he remarked softly beside me while gazing up at towering structure before us, his admiration mirrored mine yet tinged with something deeper than mere appreciation for architecture alone. Yes, I replied, quietly, lost momentarily within thoughts swirling around love lost somewhere between duty obligations, family ties unbreakable yet suffocating too. In those fleeting moments, standing side by side gazing up into history etched into stone, it hit me how much this place represented not just beauty but also choices made throughout lives lived intertwined, sometimes painfully so. Suddenly overwhelmed by emotion bubbling just beneath surface, I turned towards him, feeling compelled to share all fears, uncertainties haunting me lately, but held back knowing full well consequences could shatter fragile balance maintained thus far. Instead opted lean closer, pressing lips against cheek, gently whispering words barely audible, "Thank you for being here." His eyes widened slightly before softening into warmth, radiating reassurance, calming storm raging inside me momentarily, even if only fleetingly, passing through time shared amidst grandeur surrounding us. But then came realization crashing down hard, reminding me nothing remained untouched forever. An unexpected text message broke through, sweet moment shared between two souls searching solace amidst chaos, threatening unravel everything built upon stolen moments spent together under Parisian skies. My heart sank once more, reading words flashing across screen demanding attention. "We need talk when you get home." Panic surged through veins, coursing cold, dread settling deep within, knowing full well this wouldn't end well regardless how much hoped otherwise. How long could secrets remain buried beneath layers built up over years spent navigating familial ties strained under pressure built by unmet expectations? Each heartbeat echoed louder than last, reminding me time running out faster than ever before. The festival lights twinkled like stars against the twilight sky, casting a warm glow over the bustling streets of Paris. My heart raced as I navigated through the crowd, each laugh and cheer reminding me of the joy I had long forgotten. Yet, beneath that surface, a disquieting tension twisted in my stomach. How could I enjoy this vibrant city when my heart was torn between two worlds? I had accepted an invitation to the local art festival, hoping it would provide clarity about my feelings. The air was thick with the scent of street food and sweet pastries, but all I could taste was uncertainty. What did I truly want? A voice inside whispered that I should confront my husband about our marriage's state. But how could I lay bare my heart when it felt so entangled with my stepson? As I wandered through rows of colorful stalls, each showcasing local artists' works, I felt a familiar presence beside me. It was him, my stepson. He looked more alive than ever, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm as he pointed out a painting that caught his attention. The sight of him sent a rush of warmth through me, igniting all those feelings I had tried to suppress. "Isn't it beautiful?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "Yes," I replied softly, my mind racing with thoughts of our shared moments beneath the Parisian sky. "It reminds me of us." He turned to face me, searching for something in my eyes. "What do you mean?" I hesitated, weighing my words carefully. "The way we've connected here, it feels different." A flicker of understanding passed between us before he looked away, his expression clouded with uncertainty. "I'm not sure what this means anymore," he admitted quietly. That admission hit me hard. We were both standing at a crossroads, caught between desire and duty. The weight of our secret loomed over us like an ominous cloud threatening to burst open at any moment. "Maybe we need to talk," I suggested hesitantly. He nodded slowly but didn't say anything more as we continued to stroll through the festival. Each step felt heavier than the last as we dodged laughter and music that seemed to mock our predicament. Later that evening, we found ourselves sitting on a bench overlooking the Seine River, its waters shimmering under the moonlight. The atmosphere was almost magical but felt tainted by our unspoken truths. "I can't keep living like this," he finally blurted out, breaking the silence that had enveloped us. "What do you mean?" My pulse quickened at his words. Whatever this is between us, it's wrong," he said firmly yet with an edge of vulnerability in his voice. His admission stung like a sharp wind cutting through layers of warmth I'd wrapped around myself. But it feels so right, I countered softly. He shook his head vehemently. It's not just about what feels good right now, it's about what's at stake. The reality hit hard. My marriage was crumbling under the weight of secrets and lies while this newfound connection threatened everything I'd built over years. In that moment, clarity struck like lightning. I needed to confront my husband about our failing relationship before it spiraled further into chaos. But just as that thought solidified in my mind, my phone buzzed insistently in my pocket, a message from him. Can we talk? My heart sank as dread washed over me. He sensed something was amiss. What if he knew? What if everything unraveled tonight? I have to go. My voice trembled as panic surged within me. Go? Where? He looked confused and slightly hurt. My husband, he wants to talk. The reality settled heavily on both our shoulders like an unwelcome burden. Do you want me to come? His question hung in the air between us, an offer laced with concern but also fear. No, the words slipped out before I could stop myself. This is something I need to face alone. He nodded slowly but didn't meet my gaze again as we stood up from the bench and walked back towards where we'd left our things earlier, a painful silence enveloping us once more. As we reached the hotel entrance, a sense of finality hung thickly in the air between us. Something precious was slipping away even before it had fully bloomed into existence. I'll be waiting for your call, he said softly before turning away toward his own room, each step echoing like a countdown ticking down toward an inevitable confrontation looming ahead. Inside my room, anxiety twisted within me like vines wrapping tighter around each thought until they choked out all rationality. What would happen when I faced him? Would he lash out or plead for understanding? With trembling hands, I typed out a response, I'm on my way. As soon as those words were sent off into cyberspace, the decision made, I felt both empowered and terrified by what lay ahead. There would be no turning back from this moment now. I stepped into the elevator feeling every heartbeat thud against its metal walls. Each floor descended brought closer to an uncertain fate waiting just beyond those doors below where reality awaited with bated breath. When they finally opened onto the lobby floor, the familiar space now felt foreign. I spotted him immediately pacing near reception. A worried frown etched across his features, making him look older than usual under flickering fluorescent lights overhead, catching shadows across his brow. Megan. His voice broke through the din around us, pulling me from thoughts swirling within chaotic currents threatening to drown reason altogether. What's going on? His tone shifted from anxious concern into something deeper, a plea for answers hidden behind layers built up over years spent navigating familial ties strained under pressure built by unmet expectations. We need to talk. My voice steadied despite everything swirling inside, a fragile calm amidst brewing storms readying themselves for confrontation inevitable. Just then, a commotion erupted outside, drawing attention toward glass doors leading onto bustling streets beyond. Before either of us could react further, a figure rushed past outside, drawing every eye within earshot toward unfolding drama spilling out onto cobblestones below. And then came realization crashing down like thunder echoing across skies darkening overhead, everything hanging precariously on precipice, teetering dangerously close towards chaos awaiting eruption. Suddenly nothing mattered more than facing truth lurking just beyond, shadows cast by choices made along winding paths taken leading here, now surrounded by uncertainty looming large. The weight of my decisions pressed heavily on my chest as I navigated the cobblestone streets of Paris. The city, with its vibrant life and endless romance, felt like a cruel reminder of the choices I had made. My stepson's presence lingered in my mind, his laughter echoing through the narrow alleyways where we had shared fleeting moments of intimacy. Each corner turned brought memories rushing back, blurring the line between exhilaration and dread. I found myself standing in front of a quaint cafe, its outdoor tables adorned with fresh flowers. The aroma of coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the sweet scent of pastries. I sat down, trying to gather my thoughts amid the bustling crowd. My heart raced as I replayed our last conversation. His fears mirrored my own, a reflection of our tangled emotions. "Do you think it's wrong?" he had asked, his eyes searching mine for answers. "What are we doing?" I couldn't respond then, words failed me. How could I articulate the confusion swirling within? The thrill of our connection was intoxicating yet terrifying. My heart was torn between loyalty to my husband and this unexpected bond that felt so alive. As I sipped my coffee, I spotted an old friend from home across the street. She waved enthusiastically, her smile brightening her face. Panic surged through me. What if she sensed something amiss? What if she could read the turmoil etched on my face? I hesitated but then forced a smile back, knowing it was too late to retreat into anonymity. "Megan," she called out as she approached. "What a surprise! What brings you to Paris?" "Just a family trip," I replied, keeping my tone light despite the heaviness in my heart. "Looks like you're having fun." "Paris is magical this time of year," she said, glancing around at the lively atmosphere. "Yeah," I managed to say while avoiding her gaze. "It really is." She continued chatting about her own travels and experiences, but all I could think about was how to keep my secret hidden beneath layers of casual conversation. As we parted ways with promises to catch up later, anxiety tightened its grip on me. Returning to our rented flat that evening felt like stepping into a different world, a place where reality and fantasy collided in an uncomfortable dance. My husband was already there, engrossed in his phone while seated on the couch. He looked up as I entered but quickly returned to scrolling through messages. "Long day?" he asked absent-mindedly. "Just exploring," I replied nonchalantly while suppressing a surge of guilt that threatened to spill over. The silence stretched between us like an unbridgeable chasm filled with unspoken words and hidden truths. Each moment spent together felt heavy with unacknowledged tension. Our marriage had become more like a routine than a partnership. That night in bed was no different. The space between us felt wider than ever before. My mind drifted back to him, my stepson, and all that we had shared under Parisian skies. The thrill surged again at the thought of him. It was intoxicating yet laced with fear. A sudden knock at the door startled me awake early the next morning. Rubbing sleep from my eyes, I glanced at my husband beside me before slipping out from under the covers and padding softly towards the door. To my shock, it was my mother standing there with an expectant expression on her face, a visit unannounced that sent alarm bells ringing in my head. "Megan! What a lovely surprise!" she exclaimed as she stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "What are you doing here?" My voice came out sharper than intended as she embraced me tightly. "I thought I'd surprise you. It's been ages since we've had time together," she said cheerfully while glancing around our small apartment filled with remnants of our trip, souvenirs from local markets and photographs capturing fleeting moments of joy amidst chaos. Her presence shifted everything. Suddenly it felt impossible to maintain any semblance of normalcy or concealment regarding what lay beneath the surface of this facade we called life. "I'm just getting ready for breakfast," I offered weakly, hoping distraction would keep her from probing deeper into what lay beneath this unexpected reunion. "Oh good. Let's make it special." She clapped her hands together excitedly before heading towards the kitchen area without waiting for me to respond further. As I followed her into the kitchen, anxiety bubbled within me like boiling water on a stove ready to overflow at any moment. How could I hide everything now? While preparing breakfast together, her humming softly as she chopped vegetables, I felt trapped between two worlds, one filled with familial love and expectation while another threatened to consume me whole if discovered by those who mattered most. "Have you talked to your husband lately?" she asked casually while stirring eggs in a pan. "Yes, occasionally." The lie slipped easily past my lips despite feeling like poison pooling within me. I couldn't let her see how fractured everything truly was beneath this surface-level interaction filled with warmth and familiarity masking deeper truths lurking just out of sight. "Megan," she began carefully after several moments passed in silence punctuated only by sizzling sounds coming from pans heating up on stovetops nearby, "you know you can talk to me about anything." Her words hung heavily in the air. They echoed around us like whispers urging me toward honesty yet simultaneously warning against revealing too much too soon, a delicate balance teetering dangerously close toward chaos awaiting eruption. My phone buzzed suddenly on the countertop nearby, its screen lighting up with an incoming message that sent chills down my spine. "We need to talk." It was from him, the very person who had become both solace and source of turmoil during these days spent wrapped tightly within secrets woven intricately into every moment shared together against all odds stacked against us. My heart raced anew as uncertainty coursed through me once more. What did he want? Was he ready for confrontation? Or perhaps he sensed something shifting beneath surface-level interactions now tainted by shadows cast over choices made along winding paths leading here? I glanced at my mother busily preparing breakfast, unaware that everything might come crashing down around us any moment now. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting soft shadows across the room. I sat at the small kitchen table, my coffee growing cold as I stared blankly at the wall. My mother hummed lightly while flipping pancakes, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just outside our door. The weight of impending confrontation pressed down on me like a heavy blanket, suffocating in its familiarity. My phone buzzed on the table, shattering the silence. It was a message from my stepson, a simple "can we talk," that sent a jolt through my chest. I hesitated before replying, knowing our conversation would be laden with unspoken truths and unresolved emotions. Would he sense my turmoil? Or was he still caught up in the thrill of our secret? "Are you okay, dear?" my mother asked, glancing up from her cooking. Her eyes held a hint of concern as they met mine. "Just tired," I managed to reply, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than genuine emotion. As I took a sip of my coffee, thoughts raced through my mind about what awaited me later. My husband had called earlier, his voice steady yet tinged with suspicion. He wanted to meet and discuss something important. A part of me wanted to confess everything, to spill out all the secrets swirling inside me like wind through autumn leaves, but fear held me back. What would it accomplish? Would it bring relief or only deepen the wounds? After breakfast, I excused myself under the pretense of needing fresh air. The streets felt alive with chatter and laughter as I strolled through Portland's waterfront park. Families gathered for picnics while street performers entertained passers-by with music and dance. Each sound seemed to mock my internal struggle. Life continued unabated while mine hung in limbo. I found myself wandering toward Powell's City of Books, seeking solace among shelves filled with stories that had nothing to do with my reality. The scent of old pages enveloped me like an embrace as I lost myself in titles that promised escape but offered none. A familiar voice broke my reverie. An old friend from college approached with an enthusiastic wave. "Megan. It's been ages. How have you been?" "Just busy," I replied curtly, feeling an overwhelming urge to retreat into anonymity among the stacks. "Busy is good. You know how life gets," she said cheerfully, oblivious to the turmoil swirling within me. We exchanged pleasantries while her laughter echoed around us like distant music, light and carefree compared to my heavy heart. As we parted ways, she gave me a knowing look that made me wonder if she sensed anything amiss beneath my facade. Stepping outside again, I pulled out my phone and read over my stepson's message once more. "Can we talk?" It felt loaded with possibilities and fears alike. Did he want to end things? Or was he ready to confront this chaotic mess we had created together? I wandered aimlessly until evening fell upon the city like an unwelcome shroud. The vibrant festival lights twinkled around me as people celebrated life in all its forms, dancing couples twirled under strings of glowing bulbs while laughter mingled with music in the air. But beneath their joy lay an undercurrent of despair that mirrored my own feelings, a sense of longing for connection amidst overwhelming isolation. As night deepened, I found myself drawn toward a quaint wine bar tucked away on a side street. The dim lighting created an intimate atmosphere where whispered conversations floated like secrets shared between friends or lovers. I ordered a glass of red wine and took a seat at the bar, hoping for distraction but finding only reflection instead. My thoughts drifted back to Paris, the thrill of stolen moments wrapped in romance against breathtaking backdrops, and yet here I was, stuck in this mundane existence filled with uncertainty. Suddenly, someone slid onto the stool beside me, a figure from my past that sent shockwaves through my heart. Eric, an old flame who had once ignited passion within me long before life became complicated by marriage and responsibilities. "Megan? Is that really you?" His voice held disbelief mixed with delight as he recognized me after all these years. "Eric," I breathed out slowly, memories flooded back uninvited, moments filled with laughter and longing now tinged by regret. "You haven't changed at all," he said warmly, his gaze lingering too long for comfort before shifting away awkwardly. "I'm just busy," I replied again, my go-to excuse for everything these days. We exchanged small talk about life since college, careers pursued and paths taken, but beneath it all lingered unspoken questions about what might have been if we'd chosen differently back then. Then came his probing inquiry, "What's going on in your life now? You seem different." The truth hung heavy between us like an uninvited guest. How could I explain this complicated web without unraveling completely? "I'm just trying to figure things out," I finally said cautiously. Perhaps it was enough without revealing too much too soon. Our conversation flowed easily despite its surface-level nature until Eric leaned closer conspiratorially. "You know what they say about old flames, they never truly die." A chill ran down my spine at those words, not because they were entirely untrue but because they echoed deeper truths hidden within shadows cast by choices made along winding paths leading here. Just then, another message pinged on my phone. It was from him again. "I'm waiting." Panic surged through me as realization struck. I couldn't keep dodging this confrontation much longer. It loomed over us like dark clouds threatening rain at any moment now. As Eric continued sharing stories from his life since college, something shifted within me. A desire for connection sparked anew amidst chaos unfolding around us both. Perhaps rekindling old flames wasn't such a terrible idea after all. But before thoughts could spiral further down that path, another buzz interrupted, a call from my husband this time asking if we could meet soon. His tone left no room for doubt regarding urgency behind those words spoken softly yet firmly across distance separating us now. My heart raced anew as uncertainty coursed through me once more. What did he want? Was he ready for confrontation? Or perhaps he sensed something shifting beneath surface-level interactions now tainted by shadows cast over choices made along winding paths leading here? I glanced at Eric sitting beside me, then back toward where light spilled onto bustling streets outside. Everything felt fragile yet electric, the thrill mingling dangerously close alongside fear bubbling just beneath surface waiting to erupt any moment now. "I have to go," I said abruptly, standing up before allowing hesitation any chance to creep in again. There were no more excuses left, not when everything hung precariously on edge waiting for inevitable collapse ahead. I took a step back, my heart racing as I faced Eric. His expression mirrored my own turmoil, confusion mixed with a hint of desperation. The bridge felt impossibly narrow, as if it were closing in on us. I could hear the distant sounds of laughter and music from the festival below, but it all felt miles away, drowned out by the chaos inside my mind. "Meg," he said softly, trying to bridge the distance between us. "We can't keep doing this." His words hung heavy in the air. I had always known this moment would come, but nothing prepared me for the reality of it. I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting to see my husband's figure looming behind me like a shadow ready to engulf everything we had built. "Eric, please," I whispered, desperate for some semblance of control. "Just give me a moment to think." But before I could gather my thoughts, a familiar voice cut through the tension like glass shattering on concrete. "What's going on here?" My heart sank as I turned slowly to see my husband standing at the far end of the bridge. His eyes were wide with disbelief and hurt, a mix that twisted like a knife in my gut. The world around me faded into silence as he took a step closer, his expression morphing from confusion to anger. "David," I managed to say, but the weight of his gaze silenced any further words. Eric shifted uneasily beside me, his presence suddenly feeling like an anchor dragging me deeper into an abyss. "This isn't what it looks like," he tried to explain, but his voice faltered under David's penetrating stare. "No?" David's voice was calm yet edged with fury. "Then what is it? A secret rendezvous on a bridge in Paris? How romantic." The sarcasm dripped from his words like poison, and I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, shame mixing with fear as I struggled to find a way out of this tangled web we had woven together. "David," I said again, more firmly this time. "Let's talk about this." He shook his head slowly, disbelief etched across his features. "Talk? You've been hiding this from me for weeks while pretending everything was fine at home." Each word struck like a blow. My mind raced back to all those moments spent laughing and sharing stories with Eric, the late-night conversations that felt so real amidst my crumbling marriage. But now those memories felt tainted and wrong. "I didn't plan for this," I admitted finally, shame flooding my voice as I glanced at Eric, who looked equally lost between loyalty and desire. David stepped closer still until he was just inches away from me. I could see every emotion warring within him, betrayal mingling with hurt and anger radiating off him like heat waves from asphalt on a summer day. "You didn't plan for it," he echoed incredulously. "What did you think would happen when you started crossing lines? Did you think you could just escape?" In that moment of confrontation, something shifted in me, a realization that perhaps there was no escape left to find anymore. The thrill that had once drawn me into this affair now felt hollow against the backdrop of David's pain. I thought, my voice trailed off as tears threatened to spill over, how could I explain what had driven me here? How could I articulate the gaping void that had led me into Eric's arms? Then came another twist. A stranger approached from behind David, seemingly oblivious to our turmoil but drawn by curiosity nonetheless. He looked between us with concern etched on his face and asked gently, "Is everything all right here?" The interruption broke through our charged atmosphere momentarily. David turned slightly toward the man as if seeking an ally in this chaotic scene while Eric instinctively moved closer to me, a protective gesture or perhaps an instinctual response born out of fear. "Everything is fine," David replied tersely but without conviction. His eyes flickered back toward mine filled with unspoken questions and accusations. "Fine?" The stranger repeated skeptically before glancing at Eric, then back at David again. He seemed torn between wanting to intervene further or simply walk away from what clearly wasn't fine at all. As silence enveloped us once more, the weight of our unspoken truths hung heavily between breaths. I knew there would be no easy resolution today, no neat bow tying up loose ends while standing under Parisian skies glittering above us. I took one last look at Eric, his expression shifting from concern back into confusion, and understood then that whatever bond we shared had just cracked open beneath us like ice giving way beneath uncertain feet. "Please," I finally said again softly yet firmly addressing both men before stepping forward as if trying to reclaim some agency over my spiraling situation, my heart pounding in sync with each heartbeat echoing within this fragile moment suspended in time. But before any further words left my lips or decisions solidified within my mind, a loud crack echoed around us followed by startled gasps nearby as someone stumbled backward into view breaking apart our fragile tableau entirely. A woman nearby dropped her phone, Her startled expression mirrored mine when she realized what she had interrupted. A scene fraught with tension and heartache unfolding on this bridge suspended above water shimmering below under fading twilight hues painting everything golden just moments before dusk settled in fully around us. And suddenly clarity hid amid chaos. Choices lay ahead shrouded in uncertainty, the consequences cascading downwards like leaves swept away by autumn winds carrying whispers of change along their path.